Hello everyone! In this video I will give you a full and detailed analysis of the new secret scenes that domstudio released in the full 9th season of Skibidi Toilet Multiverse. And I will try to find all the secrets that they hid for us, as well as tell you which of my theories turned out to be true, and what I think is going on here. And I'll also build some new theories about what can await us in future episodes. What is this strange device that the Alliance scientists have prepared? What kind of strange, glowing toilets can be found in the commander's room? And why did the Association come to this city? And why are we so interested in this clock tower? Get your tea and snacks ready and prepare to watch this video to the end, because it will be very cool. Let's go! The first scene that opens the new season takes place in a place unknown to us. However, I suspect that it may be in the laboratory where Titan Clockman was repaired. We could see it in one of the secret scenes earlier, but this time we found ourselves inside it. And because of this box, this place reminded me of the room in the Skibidi base where G-Man is currently located. Of course, this is just my guess, but it seems to me that something like exercises took place here, which I will tell you about a little later. There is a huge device on this box which contains a lot of televisions, a large antenna, a clock that can be seen in these two frames, as well as a remote controller from my TV. I can't imagine where they found it, as I lost it 100 years ago. All this is located on a fairly large pole, and it is woven with a lot of cables. The whole structure is on wheels, which allows it to roll on the ground, and it will be especially funny if it accidentally rolls off this box and just breaks. But let's go back to the two agents who are standing next to this cart. After the signal of the Clockman scientist, the scientist TV man informs his Titan of some coordinates, and also informs that he must get as close to something as possible and then put this thing there. And it seems to me that we are talking about Skibidi Base 1, in which G-Man is located, and this thing should somehow destabilize him until he comes to his full readiness. And the exercises that took place here were supposed to prepare the Titan so that he knew how best to do it when he would be in the right place. But to be honest, I can't even imagine how he can get there, as the Skibidi toilets at the base clearly must have protection from Alliance teleportation. So he won't just get there so easily. Perhaps this thing was installed not inside, but somewhere not far from this base, in the place where the battle between the Titans and the Skibidi is taking place right now. And this device should somehow help the Alliance in the battle. Maybe this thing, thanks to a clock, TVs, and a large antenna, can relay the power of Titan Clockman or something like that, thanks to which he will be able to stop time in this place. But this is just my guess. Okay, and now let's move on to the scene of the first part of the 33rd episode. At the moment when Titan Clockman stopped time immediately after the launch of many Skibidi missiles. Here we will find out who is inside this Astro toilet. And this is none other than Male 07, who is the pilot of this robo-toilet, and now it becomes clear why he did not die after being stabbed right in the eye. This is just a big toy, like the one that the scientist has. And in this scene, we learn a new ability of Commander Skibidi, which allows him to resist the time stoppage of Titan Clockman. And it seems that this is his innate ability, so to speak. We'll talk about it in more detail later, so don't switch. And also be sure that you have subscribed to my channel and liked this video. And while you're doing this, Male 07 remembers Professor Kleiner's request, which was that you don't need to fight with Titan Clockman. You just need to make sure that he can't interfere with Skibidi's plans. We have already heard this many times. Their plan is to delay this metal giant for as long as possible, so that G-Man Apocalypse can fully complete its preparations and put an end to this war between the Skibidi and the Alliance. And that is why, after a small skirmish, Skibidi, the scientist and commander, ran away from the battlefield when they were convinced that Titan Clockman would not pose a threat to them for some time. And now let's move on to the next scene, which is part of the 35th episode, but from a slightly different angle. From here we can see the same alarm clockman who once finished with his boss. After C-Pen left in order to destroy the poor photo cameraman, Clockman approaches the Titan and his behavior shows that he regrets his act, although he did not commit it of his own free will. Clockman gestured that he intended to enter the dome and somehow cancel the launch of the missiles. And while the agent was about to reach the dome, the Titan called out to him and showed his signature gesture. I suspect that this big guy knows, or at least guesses, about what happened at the Clockman base and why Alarm Clockman had to do it. Maybe this one can look into the past or something like that. And finally, flying up to the huge dome on his jetpack, he goes inside it, and this is where the next secret scene ends. You may have a question. How is he going to prevent the launch of all these missiles? Well, perhaps he just hopes to find the huge red button on this base with the usage of which he would cancel the nuclear apocalypse, as it already happened, for example, in the 22nd episode when the Digger Drillman pressed the button to prevent the launch of a rocket. And finally, the time has come for the scene that I had already discussed in my latest video when domstudio sent me a couple of exclusive leaks for it. And just as I predicted, this happens immediately after the Skibidi Rangers entered the room to the commander. And as for me, this scene is a reference to the very popular movie Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, where Voldemort and his henchmen also gathered to discuss their villainous plans. However, in the series from domstudio, I'm no longer sure that the Skibidi toilets are unambiguous villains. In this frame, we can see the sources of the mysterious glow that interested me in the last video. As I predicted, these are some kind of levitating toilets, but they are not alive, they are just empty toilets. I don't know exactly what function these things perform. Maybe they act as sources of energy or strength for all these Skibidi warriors or something like that. But in any case, it looks very strange to me. So in this room, we see all the Skibidi Rangers, 2 professors, as well as the commander, and each of them talks about his own. And also in the center is the commander's toilet seat. The toilet sits on the toilet. Genius. But the main question is asked by William, who is asking about Male 09, which in his turn went to investigate in order to unearth information about the Alpha's master, who did not come to save his Alpha, as Leo correctly noted. And considering Professor Kleiner's words, he actually flew into space, and here I have a couple of questions. First of all, how did he decide to get there? He just boarded a rocket and somehow flew to the master's ship, which is located somewhere in space. Well, if that's the case, how is he going to get there on this rocket? Or will he just fly to the aliens, knock on their door and ask something like, "Hello everyone, I'm a Skibidi toilet, let's get acquainted"? It would definitely work, especially considering the Alpha's last words that they were going to destroy all species on Earth, including Skibidi toilets. Well, in the end, Susie asks a question that I have also raised several times in my videos, namely the forced truce between the Skibidi toilets and the Alliance, because a rather big threat has been facing the Earth, which can wipe everyone off the face of the planet. However, not everyone shares this point of view, and especially William, who mentions his son. And I believe that he, as well as the commander's daughter, was in the last human village attacked by the Pencilmen. And most likely this boy in red clothes is his son. But William allows himself to say too much, and immediately after that, Male 07 grabs him by the neck with incredible speed, and in a split second sweeps several tens of meters with him, as well as slamming him into the wall. And yeah, it may seem that this is the main ability of this Skibidi, which is incredible speed, that allowed him to resist the time dilation of Titan Clockman. This ability reminded me of the character Quicksilver from the X-Men movies. Maybe we'll see a similar scene in this series. At the end, the commander says that there is no way back and that peace is no longer an option. Well, whatever that means. But in any case, I am sure that this is not the final decision, and the Skibidi toilets will somehow have to join forces with the Alliance to counter other threats. Male 07 asks to see Jimmy, and when he arrives at his place, he says that they will most likely not see each other again. I don't know what he means. It's possible that one of them will die in battle or something like that, and most likely it will be G-Man. I only have such a thought in this regard, because the commander also talks about some consequences that should come as soon as we see a message on this scoreboard that the preparation of the apocalypse is completed. Well, and Skibidi answers with the iconic "Dop, yes, yes," and who would have thought that it would happen right? But in the end, he also promises in human language that he will finally end this war. And well, in the next scene we see a dialogue between the commander and Professor Kleiner, which takes place just before Astro Toilet came to the rescue of Bald Joe. This shell is the latest of the professor's inventions, and it is capable of absorbing the super speed of this guy, thanks to which it is able to move so fast on the battlefield. And finally, Kleiner asks to avoid a fight with Titan Clockman. And despite the fact that the tough guy says that he will act at his discretion, we already know that he obeyed the advice, and while having saved the Skibidi scientist, he retired from the battlefield. And in the same dialogue, we finally learn the limits of the Titan Clockman's power, which we actually managed to find out. And the main thing to remember is that he can stop time at a fairly large distance all around himself, but he can only do this only 3 times in 24 hours. Okay, but does the countdown start after the first stop or after the last one? Most likely after the first one. At least that's what I think, though. And now, finally, let's move on to the last and most interesting scene, in my opinion. In front of us, there is another Alliance squad that flew to this Big Ben. And you may have a question. Why did they once again arrive to this clock? What did these agents forget about here? And I guess they're just patrolling this place or something. But one of these poor devils is not destined to return, because the spear of the elite clockman ends his life immediately after he gives a like to this video. Press F, guys. However, surprisingly, Clockman spared the others and simply ordered them to get out of here. But they will not leave this place so easily because the toilet egg blocks their passage with its bombs. But let's not talk about it, because the most interesting thing is coming next. Cozy asks why there was an order to destroy Big Ben, and I suspect that we are talking about elite clockmen. And in response to that, I begin to tell the rest of the guys about what this structure actually hides. Yes, we're really going to destroy this thing because we know what it is, unlike the Skibidi toilets who probably wanted to blow it up, well, just because, unfortunately for you, Simp Elite Cameraman climbed high on the roof, which is why you could not hear this important information from me. But most likely he left us so that no one would catch him hugging his pillow with the image of TV Woman on it. I'm pretty sure about this. At the end, he says that no spoilers are there for you guys and no TV Woman for you either. Sorry to upset you, bro, but it looks like there won't be a TV Woman for you either, except for just the one on the pillow. Well, perhaps now you are waiting for me to tell you everything and also reveal to you something related to these big clocks and what awaits you in the future. I will be happy to do this in one of my next videos, because at the moment I can distribute so much important information that it should now remain only between the members of the association. And that was all for today. And if you don't want to miss the moment when I can tell you about it, then be sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and it was me, ISO Chad. See ya!